All right, we will call this special meeting to attention at 5:31, or 5:32. I actually just plugged in my phone, so I don't have the time. You?
5:32,
Or 5:32, okay.
according to Verizon time.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Here.
Miss Ulrich,
Here.
Mr. Waller,
Here?
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Morbeck is excused from the meeting, Mr. McElravy,
Here.
and I'm here.
All right, you have in front of you an agenda for this evening. The first items we have are the election of officers, starting, so we have a number of officers according to the bylaws to elect, starting with president and then to vice president, secretary, treasurer, executive director, and other officers. Are there any nominations for election of president at this time?
I nominate Matt Waller to continue as president.
I'll second that.
I'll take it, thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
I'll abstain.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
All right, that passes 4-0. Next, we have the election of a vice president. Are there any motions for election of vice president?
We, if I might comment,
Yes.
Mr. Waller, that last year we did not have a vice president, but bylaws have stated that this was one of the positions to be elected in the case that the president was unavailable to do so. And so that's why it's listed on the agenda.
Right, and does this need to be, is this limited to an elected official or?
It is not.
Right? So that said, are there any nominations or is there any interest in the vice presidency?
Maggie, would you like to be vice president?
I think she has a different role. Anticipating.
All right, I'll nominate Mr. Unger. All
Okay, I'll second Mr. Unger.
right, any discussion? All right, we'll call a vote on that.
Mr. Unger,
Abstain.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes?
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
All right, that passes 4-0. Now the election of a secretary.
I nominate Maggie Klein to be secretary.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
I was trying to move you up to vice president. That's all I was
We'll
trying.
call for a vote on that, please.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes?
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy,
Yes.
I abstain.
All right, that passes 4-0. The election of a treasurer.
I nominate Jeff McElravy.
I'll second.
Any discussion with regard to that? We'll move that to a vote, please.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes?
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy,
Abstain.
and I vote yes.
All right. And the election of an executive director.
I'll nominate David
I'll
Miller.
second that. Any discussion?
None.
We'll go ahead and call a vote on that.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes?
Mr. Miller,
I'll vote for myself. I'll abstain.
Mr. McElravy,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
All right, that's, have I been counting wrong? That's 5-0.
5-0.
Yeah. Have I been counting wrong this whole time?
It's all right, you're from Elder.
Been that kind of day.
We have a good secretary, so she knows what's.
All right. Election of other officers, I don't necessarily see that we have any, do we? Or
So previously, we have had a member from the community who was the president of their Chamber of Commerce, that's Dave Morbeck. He had a conflict with the schedule tonight of a previously scheduled event for the chamber, but expressed interest in continuing to serve if the board so chose.
just to renew his term as serving on the,
That is correct.
okay, I'll nominate Mr. Morovic.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None.
All right, we'll call that for vote.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy,
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right, that actually passes 6-0.
Yahoo.
All right. Now we do have in front of us an agenda that's been provided. Are there any motions with regard to that agenda?
I motion that we approve the agenda as printed,
I'll second.
as advertised.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
None.
None.
All right, we'll move that for a vote, please.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Wallert,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy.
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right, that's passes 6-0, and you have been provided in the board packet the minutes from the date,
Was it October 24th?
October
22nd?
22nd?
October 22nd, CIC meeting. Are there any motions with regard to the October 22nd CIC meeting?
I motion that we approve the minutes from the October 22nd CIC meeting.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
None.
All right, seeing no discussion, please, we'll call that for a vote.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Wallert,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy.
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right, that passes 6-0. All right, so we have in front of us a number of new business items. We'll start with A, the proposal to sell vacant corner lot on Pool Road at Wood Thrush Drive. And Mr. Miller, I think you will provide us the narrative in each one of these,
Okay.
starting with A.
All right, so the first is the vacant lot. As you recall, we did a search of township-owned properties and ones that we felt like were unneeded and could possibly be disposed of. And this was the one item that did rise to the top. It is a vacant lot at the corner of Wood Thrush Drive and Pool Road. It is in a residential neighborhood, and we went out to a number of infill developers who have worked with us in the past on purchasing vacant lots from us for development and other purposes. And so we did receive interest from 3 different individuals for this lot. And so the recommendation would be to allow the executive director to seek out the highest and the best use for Wood Thrush and Pool lot for purchase from the CIC. There are 2 builders who wanted to build homes. Their offers are in the range that we have had in the past, relatively low because this lot is well covered with trees and was going to require significant remediation to clear that before they could build. There is a next-door neighbor who would like to purchase that to add to their lot and to do some clearing and to provide additional property for their residential purposes. So those are the 3 offers. The next-door neighbor's offer is significantly above the other 2. And so happy to answer any other questions that you have.
It's a no-brainer to me.
I propose that we authorize the executive director to seek out the highest price and enter into a contract to sell the property described.
I'll second that motion.
Do we want to amend that to highest price and best use?
That,
Highest and/or best?
yes, that's fine.
Is that,
Authorize the executive director to enter into a contract to sell the lot for the highest price and best use.
I'll second the new motion.
Okay.
Any discussion?
None from me.
Nope. Thank you so much for this ongoing process, and I appreciate the effort, and we can call a vote on that.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Wallert,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
6-0. All right, next we have item B, proposal to sell the training center, which, again, you'll provide the narrative that's been listed.
I think one thing I'd like to do first on this, since, again, our last meeting, we the board authorized the hiring of a commercial broker
Right.
to list these, and we have had the training center available for sale for probably a couple of years, close to that. and I've shown it a couple dozen times.
For sale and for lease, right? At first, we had it for lease.
We had it just for sale.
Okay.
We were open to
Right.
most any use, okay, if somebody wanted, but there was little interest. We had one offer, if you remember that. It was a offer of no value, and the construction company was going to move their headquarters there, going to fix the building up, and they were going to invest a significant amount in the building, according to their estimate. But at that time, we chose not to accept that offer, and then pivoted toward bringing in a commercial broker that would assist us in a broader reach of potential buyers. And so I've invited Nick Barella, who is the broker that we did agree on. And I just want to ask him to come up and kind of give us just a narrative of what his experience has been thus far with these three properties. So he listed the training center. As you know, Station 26 and 102 are still occupied by in current use for our fire stations. We're in the process of building new ones. We won't be moving out of these two until probably April-ish, sometime in the spring, maybe even early summer. But it's all dictated by weather and construction progress. Nonetheless, we have opportunity to show them, and Mr. Barella's done, I think, a great job of getting these in front of people. And so I just want to invite him and make sure you get a chance to meet him and ask him any questions about this if those arise. But what's been his experience? How has he seen the market, the interest, the pricing, everything that he's done?
And without objection from the rest of the board members and Mr. Barella and yourself, I'd like to do this separate, so do B and then do take action if we're going to take action, then do C, and then take action if we're going to, and then D, if that pleases the rest of the board.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Barella?
Nick?
Welcome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Is that
appreciate
the light on?
Yeah,
Okay.
I see it. So we're talking about the training center.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's an interesting property. I don't know if you've had a chance to walk through it, but it's built like a bunker.
Yeah.
In the first couple of weeks, I called all the logical users, light industrial users. I reached out to Rumpke. Rumpke was familiar with it. They called it the Bunker 2. They had a data center there for a while. And I just want to list, we've had KW Commercial come through, a company called Tez Trans LLC. Comey and Shepherd brought a buyer through. Animal Remover, which is like a pest control company. Kugler Realty is a group that brought Homes by Gerbis through. So they're looking at it for the underlying zoning. And then we had a individual single-family residential developer, Glenn and April Zarnecki, come by. And what's interesting to me is that last buyer that came through actually looks at it as a single-family residential opportunity with the chance to build some additional single-family homes down the road. So the activity's been good. I've been pleasantly surprised with the training center.
So that potential buyer, the last one you mentioned, has seen it. He's aware of the utility situation with it.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I try to do when I have buyers come through is disclose some of the issues with the transformer not working. Glenn Zarnecki is unusual in the sense that unlike most single-family buyers, he is very familiar with construction. He's got an active development going on in Florida where he's building, I think it's 12 single-family homes. And then he personally is fond of, I don't know if you've seen it, it's called an earth ship. Have you guys ever seen those type of homes? Kind of built into a hillside.
More like berm houses.
Exactly. Built into a hillside, lower HVAC costs. So some buyers come to the table and they see the robustness of the structure as a negative because it would take a lot to demolish it. He saw it as an advantage.
I was so impressed with
Yeah.
the engineering and just what it took. I mean, I could see all the P&G engineers to all the electric, the plumbing. That building is an awesome building. I like the building myself.
It's funny too when you take buyers into the mechanical room.
Oh, yeah.
You get a quick snapshot of how they perceive the building. The ones that want to tear the building down see it as a huge problem. This buyer, Glenn, that I mentioned, he was in love too.
Oh,
He's like, this is amazing.
I like this buyer, I like his
Yeah.
price, but, the only thing is on that offer is if we can shorten the term of the inspection period.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
There were a couple little
Yeah,
little
When I
difficulties.
was reading
yeah.
through it, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a couple of different
I
things.
agree, but the activity's been good.
Yeah.
To me, it's a indication, it's a vote of confidence that we got the pricing right. Absolutely.
I love it. I'm glad somebody likes that building.
If we were to go to the next step on this, is he prepared to purchase it?
Yeah, I could show you text messages. He's wanting feedback. He's ready.
Yeah,
He's ready. One of the most important things, because most single-family buyers would require some kind of financing, and I think lenders would have a difficult time getting comfortable with the building. He does not have a financing contingency, which is a huge plus. Doesn't
He
have
could
to.
potentially go ahead and write a check for it.
Yeah, that's his intent. Absolutely.
part of the contract is you have to show the funds availability, so that's part of the
Right.
contract, so you wouldn't accept
Okay,
the contract.
I just wanted to get that out there, that might be the case.
Sure.
And if I might mention just one other footnote, you talked about one other interested party. They were inquiring as to whether we would be willing to be a part in the demolition of the building and what that might cost. And so we did go out and get an estimate from a local demolition contractor, and I think it came in at about 167,000, 165.
165 is what I remember.
165. And so that is a cost that we would have to put into the equation in negotiation if there was somebody else that was going to develop the property, say, for all residential. So just wanted you
Another
to know
note I
that.
want to add to that, David, is the light industrial users, because the building strikes you as a industrial building. The light industrial users are uncomfortable with the current zoning.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's a process, and we don't have any formal offers from those users, but when we do see them, you're going to see a contingency based on reworking the zoning or getting a variance that allows them to do what they want to do. So it's going to require some kind of zoning modification.
This requires no zoning, it's all residential, so I think it's a great
Yeah.
offer for the township.
And how is that zoned?
RER, rural estate residential.
So the lot size and everything works out for him, and
Down the road for this buyer, I think he has plans to split off an acre or more for a daughter, an acre or more for a son.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what the zoning.
Current resolution for that area, it's an acre per house anyway, so it fits his needs perfectly.
That's right.
so he could parse off a few lots and still have the minimum acreage he would need to,
That's right. 1 acre minimums in that zoning.
and once it's his, if he wanted changes, he would have to pursue those.
That's correct, yeah. He'd be back here before you guys.
At this point, in order to move forward, do we need a resolution to have Mr. Miller in?
Counter that contract for those.
And what
things
was
we
the
need to-
amendment you wanted, Kathy?
The inspection periods are quite long in that, and I realize he does live in Florida now, he's down there, so I didn't know if
He's in town.
he's in town
Yeah,
now,
I
so
think-
can we get those inspection periods shored up to a shorter?
Yeah, he asked for 60 days, which is
Right.
not uncommon for commercial because it takes
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah,
But I think we could push back and get 30.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, that would be,
And you've gone over all I went through the building about a year ago. It would need significant work.
Yeah.
And as far as the wastewater and the electric, which is part of the reason that we're not going to move forward with it. And, as a township, and we would like to offload it or, find a buyer for it or a new owner. And he's aware of all these things. So
Yeah.
I don't really expect the inspection to come up with something that they would come back to us and ask us to fix. Not that there's such a thing as is, but it's, in my mind, this is what it is, and he knows what he's getting into.
He does. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, Mr. Miller, do we need a motion to have you?
I think a motion would be appropriate to work with this current offer and get an amendment to the inspection period that's workable, and then allow the executive director to enter into an appropriate level, I think that you're aware of.
So if we're able to, if that would pass this body right now, what would be the timeline for him buying it from us? If,
Come to closing.
Ideally, it'd be
Time to
30,
closing.
30 days for inspection, so he's checking out all the systems, getting comfortable with it. 30 days to close after the inspection period has passed,
so sometime
2 months or sooner.
April 10th, what is today, January
From the time the
16th?
contract is signed, 60 days or sooner.
That's why we wanted to get these contracts signed
So if
out.
we have a meeting in April, we'll be able to talk about the success of having sold the property.
I hope so.
I hope so for you too.
Does that mean, is that reasonable?
That's reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, that meets the timeline.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to give the executive director the authority to move forward to enter into a contract at or above the offer for the high bidder,
With,
with the caveat that there will be a reduction in the inspection period to 30 days.
Okay.
I will second Mr. McElreavy's motion.
all right, any other discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote on that.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Wallert,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElreavy.
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right, Mr. Miller, we'll go on to item C, pending offers for Station 26.
Okay, so this one has had, well, I'm going to let Mr. Barella talk about that right now, if you would.
Yeah, Station 26 is beautiful. It's got some retail appeal, so we've seen several different kinds of buyers. I'll give you some samples. Greg Insko, who you know, I think he has an entertainment, kind of restaurant, retail type use in mind. There's a gentleman named Ketan Patel who sees a convenience store. I don't think that's going to work, and I don't think his interest is there anymore. Square Foot Commercial represents a regional company called DBG Flowers, which is a flower distribution company, so it's kind of perfect to get over to the west side of town. They would use it as light industrial. Coldwell Bankers had clients come through. Colliers International, a guy named Daniel Geppinger, the Underground Detective, which is currently a Colerain business. And then most recently is Playground Equipment Services. I don't know if you've run
Yeah.
into Eric. Oh, you know Eric.
I know Eric
Yeah,
Earl,
yeah, that's
yeah.
right. So that's the short list of folks who've kicked the tires on Station 26.
Okay, I know we have a letter of intent from one of those prospective people.
right.
And I'm going to talk realtor to realtor. I would like that one person probably go into Station 102 because I think we have a lack of activity there. We have more potential activity for 26. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, and actually, your instinct is good, and fortunately, you're talking about Underground Detective.
Okay.
Their preference is Station 102 now.
I would prefer
Yeah.
them to be at 102 and have something more lively and entertainment, whatever we can get
And
to.
that's the direction they're headed, so
Okay.
that's good.
Okay, I'm in agreement with you with that one. Thank you.
And for those that don't know, 26 is on Galbraith Road and 102 is up off up on Old
102 is
Colerain.
the
Colerain
corner
and Kemper.
of West Kemper and Colerain, yeah. A little bit more rural.
So
We all know that, but I mean, if anybody's watching, you know, you're on
We have
TV
millions
with,
of subscribers
Oh, is
that
it
watch
this big?
us, yes.
you'll be able to go back and watch the replay of this.
Great,
You're going to be on YouTube,
it's gonna be
so
great.
you know.
So it's my feeling that 26, that we really haven't approached, kind of, there's more room to go in the price offering.
Yeah.
I was, so we did an independent appraisal, which, by the way, to your credit, came back pretty spot on to what you put the property on the market for, so.
That feels good.
Yeah, so because when it was on the market, I thought, that's a little high, and then the appraisal came back, and I'm like, wow, we got the right guy listing it.
Yeah.
But we haven't really come close to that number, and, you know, I don't know if it's hindsight, but once I got the appraisal, I'm like, well, I see that now. But I don't think any of the offers are really close to that. You know, I'm prepared to be patient with this property.
But once again, you can get, and I've discussed this before, you can get how many appraisers and you can get how many
Right.
different values.
That is true.
The market is the deterrent, it did the determination of the market value of that property. And all the offers have been pretty close together. And so in my mind, the market's telling us for that building, I don't know, I don't know if anybody's gonna go up to our appraised value.
Well, I just don't think it's,
I think we're, yeah.
I
that's
also
my
think
opinion.
I don't think it's the appropriate time to judge the market because it's a slow moving time in real estate at this point.
There's still, things are still moving.
Oh,
Well, in
I-
defense of the property, I think we hit the market late in the year.
Right.
Just before the holidays.
Right.
Right.
And I was actually encouraged by, there was a lot of interest even before the property went to the
Yeah, 'cause
market.
we've shown it several times before we listed it, yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And, in commercial, it's not uncommon for a transaction, if things are moving at a normal pace, to take 9 months. That doesn't feel long in commercial. That feels like forever if you're selling residential. But commercial, it takes some time. So I think we're gonna get closer to that.
And I think that there's probably some macroeconomic tailwinds that are going to assist us in that property as well, coming in the next few months. I don't want to fire, no pun intended, fire sale it and sell it for too low of price. And I think there's some complications that you wanted to discuss as well.
I did want to share that. Some of the due diligence that we're doing through the administration side. Mr. Weckbach, our township administrator, has reached out to the Attorney General's office to ask for opinions if they have seen these types of situations come up where there is a current or former employee that would like to purchase property from the township. And so I've provided to you a snippet from the opinion. And I'll just read this, that the provisions of the revised code, 511.13, prohibit a member of the Board of Township Trustees, none of you are interested, or employee of the township from being interested in any contract of the board except in circumstances directly addressed by revised code 511 or 505. A trustee, officer, or employee of a township who is employed by an entity with which the township enters into a contract has an interest, regardless of whether it can be demonstrated that the trustee officer has a direct or personal benefit. Okay, so here's the point. We have 2 offers that are on the table for Station 26, one from a current employee and one from a recent former employee. That former employee has to be gone from employment for 1 year before eligible. I believe that's correct, Mr. McElravy. And so at this point, that former employee would not be eligible either to purchase unless we choose to put it out to public bid under the normal bidding process with an RFP.
Can I ask you if they have a LLC, if they buy it that way through an LLC versus the personal way they're doing it, does that matter?
Well, if they're a beneficiary of the LLC,
Okay,
then
so you would have,
they
if
would
somebody
still
would-
be,
And you would have.
I
to-
believe,
okay,
again,
you would
I'm
have
not an
to-
attorney.
If somebody bought it with an LLC, you'd have to see the membership on the LLC to see if they were a former employee, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
So
just want to double check that one.
that, I think, supports Mr. Wallert's position that given that we are gonna have to remove 2 of the offers from the table out of those that we're currently entertaining, I think it behooves us to look for that weight as well and spend a little bit more time, give Mr. Barella opportunity to seek that out and let the market churn a little bit more on this. As he said, 9 months is not unheard of.
I know 9 months isn't unheard of, but as realtors go, when you're not getting a lot of activity, you go for a price reduction. When a buyer sits there and go, this has been on the market 9 months, what are they willing to take now? So it does end up being a fire sale the longer it sits on the market. I understand these winter months have been, but once we hit, February seems to, for residential, start from February to May as our highest peak months.
We have had activity on it.
I know, I'm just saying, we are having activity and we're getting offers and they're all about the same proximity to each other.
At a time that's typically slower, so it would stand to reason that,
Guy in my office just sold 5 houses in December. I mean, there's, like I said, activities, it's just the inventory's not out there. That's the problem. The inventory's not there. We have the inventory. The buyers are still out there.
Well,
I think we're talking about 2 separate
Yeah.
things, commercial versus residential.
Yeah, but a lot of the residential we're selling are the same prices that,
Well, I guess, maybe I don't understand real estate because I don't use the price, I use the use. Yeah, so I guess
Always
I should go
price,
back and just use the prices then.
it's price. People talk about location, price is always gonna affect location.
Okay, well, then why don't we just list it as residential?
You know, in a way it is. It's zoned multi-unit residential.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't understand the argument. The argument doesn't make any sense to me because it's not a residential
Oh,
property.
I'm not saying it is.
You're giving me detail and data that applies to residential. We don't have a residential unit.
I'm just comparing,
Yeah, you're comparing, it's like me saying I sell more bicycles than cars. It's two different units. I mean,
no,
you
I'm
know,
just telling you, it's still an active market even for commercial, but he's in more,
Back in early last summer, April, May, we were talking about this and figured that we need to get started on this now because the process is going to take quite a while. It's my goal that once we have moved our crews and equipment into the new firehouses, that the 26 and 102 are not left sitting because you start to incur costs the day you move out. The ongoing utilities, stuff tends to happen to unoccupied buildings, and so I think we're moving right along on a good track with where we're at right now in January. I would tend to think that maybe 26 needs to sit and wait a little longer, and maybe let's talk about the other one.
Okay. So I don't believe we need a motion on that. I think we have the opinion from the AG, and there is no action that's needed at this point, but to allow Mr. Barella to continue to actively market 26.
That's where I'm
you don't
at.
want to work with any of the contracts that we have?
Well, I think that would be part of Mr. Barella's
Okay, because I thought we had one decent,
directive,
Yeah.
that he could go back to them and say, here's where we're at, you know. Do you want to come up? You want to change some of your proposal or not? So,
that's what we were talking about.
Yes.
Can we counter the one contract that I think is a,
Yeah,
Yes.
the formal offer that we received was good in term. The terms were good. No financing contingency, no inspections, close in 30 days.
and it was this, no,
So we just need to work
no
on the
zone
price.
change or anything?
We just need to work on the price.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what, to negotiate that.
Right.
We can negotiate that.
and those are not the two that we have to eliminate.
that's correct.
Because I'm not willing to entertain those at all, because I think the Attorney General has made that clear.
Yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Station 102. You want to briefly talk about that, Mr. Barella?
Yeah, a lot of activity there. Square foot commercial showed that to DBG Flowers, the same group that looked at Station 26. We had a gentleman named Simranjit Singh who was looking at it as a convenience store. I think he expressed sincere interest.
He did.
We had a gentleman named Dave Miller, not this Dave Miller. Innovative Electric Service, they're still out looking at buildings. They may come back. And then ultimately, the underground detective did put together a letter of intent.
And I do agree with Ms. Ulrich that I think the underground detective makes the most sense there, and I think
You mean at 102?
it,
Yeah.
102, yeah. I think that makes the most sense for them and for us. That's perfect.
I agree.
It's a perfect marriage. And I think, would we need a similar to what we did with the training center with a similar motion? Is that what we would need?
I think so, and I think the instruction would first be for our broker to see if he could negotiate that up maybe a little bit more.
Right.
Because it's listed at $610,000.
Station 102 is 560.
It's 560.
That's right.
Okay. Where did I get this? Oh, yeah, I don't know where I get that 610. Got 690, 660. Okay, so 560. So I think if he could get closer to that, I think the offer from the one that's on the table right now would probably be something that we'd be willing to accept. So
Have we had a independent assessment of what the value of the property would be, or is it the realtors?
I think now we're just working off the opinion of value that I
Right.
provided.
Right, I mean, as a quasi-government entity, do we need to have a evaluation of the property and be within that range to sell it?
I don't think that is necessary. We certainly can confirm that.
That would be my only hesitation, is make sure that the property is, that if we're compelled to have an independent evaluation of the potential value, and we're this far away from it, then we're not legally where we need to be.
Sure,
So
sure.
that's my only hesitation on it.
And you know, one of the reasons that the CIC exists is to provide for more flexibility in these kinds of situations. So I don't think that that is necessary, but I do think it would be prudent to confirm that. You know, my sense is that, you know, Mr. Barella is working this well, and that this isn't quite ripe, and that he's got a little bit more work to do. So I would suggest that we give him the time to do that and bring this back to an agenda in the near future.
And if we were that far south of the asking price, perhaps some sort of commitment from the potential buyer that they will stay there a number of years or a period of time, so that they don't buy it from us for this number and turn around and sell it. Obviously, whoever the new buyer would be would have to meet whatever the zoning was, but my interest would be keeping that Colerain Township business in Colerain and allowing them to have the expanded building footprint that they need to expand their operations, and you know, some type of commitment from them that they were going to stay here for some period of time.
Well, yeah, Rob Harris is the gentleman I've been interfacing with the underground detective.
Right.
And he expressed he wants to stay in Colerain. That's why he looked at Station 26 and then 102.
Yeah, just haven't put that in writing for a number of years, and then.
And I don't think we're too far off with his offer. Did you have a chance to look at the letter of intent? So he wanted to do an exchange, which I think is very difficult for you all to
Yeah,
do.
we're not interested in obtaining property and
Right.
taking on the cost of selling that again.
A private individual can do that, but I think it's tougher for you.
Exactly, we had discussed it, yes.
But he values that exchange property at $440, and then said he would contribute $75 in cash. So to me, he's stating that the value is $515, which is within
Selling this
earshot.
Property,
That's right.
yeah, okay.
And he also said we could do $350 cash, which means it should be very financeable at an agreed purchase price. So I think we can get there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it seems to me the other interest was from a lot of maybe convenience type stores, which would, there are gasoline, gas tanks below there to me, there's no really proof of concept for a convenience gasoline store at that location. I remember looking at traffic count and being a little bit skeptical. And I'd hate to have those activated again and then to have to unactivate them. He's not going to use those.
Yeah.
Once again, that would require a total zone change.
We've never received an offer from that particular interested
There were
party
several that had interest
that was considering a gas station. And we're not even sure what the state of those tanks are now.
I'm
if
sure
they've
it's
ever
not
been
as,
pulled.
it's not what we think.
No. And if I might comment on the appraisal, the reason that we sought that for Station 26 was because we wanted to ensure that there was an independent valuation that we would be able to defend why we offered it for X and sold it for Y, given that we knew there were former and current employees that were interested. So we wanted to have the distance from that, so we could not be accused of having sweetheart deals with friends. And so that outward valuation provided that insulation for us. And then we also sought an Attorney General opinion, we got that, and that's why we are where we are. So I think Mr. Unger's question as to whether we might benefit from another appraisal.
Oh, I don't want another one. I just wanted to make sure we had
don't
one
wanna pay for
and
another
we were
appraisal.
within the range.
Right. And I think Mr. Barella has done the due diligence on what the valuation is, and he's saying, you know, we're within earshot, for sure.
I think to Mr. Unger's point, he just wants to make sure that we have that T crossed and that I dotted, that
Yep.
we didn't, in
It
fact,
is.
need it.
Yep.
I'm very satisfied with the listing price. I think that's completely within the ballpark, but I just want to make sure that that's not a requirement for it.
So if I'm hearing you then correctly, we would hold this one as well and ask Mr. Barella to go and see if he could negotiate a little bit higher price on that and then bring that back to us.
And what I'm hearing from Ms. Ulrich and myself, and I haven't heard from Mr. Unger yet, I don't think we have any interest in any property exchange.
Higher price and clean sale,
Yes.
no swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in that.
Even if we have to take a delayed closing to give you an opportunity to sell their property.
Okay.
And they'd be flexible. Obviously, we don't know when,
Don't like
what a
delayed
move-in
closing.
date would be. We don't know what a move-in date would be. I don't know if there would need to be something that said, once we're out of there, you know, we need 30 more days to get our stuff out, or how that
The
works.
lines that come through, I've shared that the move-in date's gonna be dependent on when the station relocates.
Right.
And just giving them a vague target date of the end of March.
Is that the right date?
I haven't heard anything of late, so,
Okay.
but I think, that spring,
Just put a, contingency in there if the building construction, I mean,
Right.
that's something we can just
yeah.
put in.
Current operations vacating.
Right.
I
And probably
I
a
think it's
little-
clear.
Little time to clean up, yeah.
Everybody understands
Okay.
that. Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
work on these buildings. It's gone much, I think Dan said, Mr. Unger said it's been gone much more quickly than I had expected.
We can try to slow down.
No, gosh, no.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for coming out this evening.
You missed one. I think you or Dan.
Thank you.
All right, we have some consent items, and let me introduce those, and we'll let Mr. Miller tee those up. Motion to allow executive director to accept director and officer's liability insurance policy with Highland. And item B, a motion to allow executive director to enter an engagement with Plattenberg and Associates for financial services.
All right, item A is the D&O insurance. Good news is that the 24-25 premium to the current year has actually decreased. Shocking.
I saw that.
Yeah, slightly. So that's good news, but standard issue. So that is the D&O insurance, and then the item B is our engagement with Plattenberg for preparation of financial statements that would then be provided to the Auditor of State. So those
I'll
are,
move adoption of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
None from me.
None.
All right, go ahead and move to vote, please.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Miss Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yep.
Mr. Miller,
yes.
Mr. McElravy.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
6-0. I got it right this time. All right, now we have, it looks about 15 minutes for any public comment.
Look at all those people out there that want to come up and talk.
Yeah. Yes,
Come
come on up.
Please state your name and address.
Now, I think the microphone is still on.
Should be, if the light's on at the base.
Green
Yep.
light.
Yep.
My name's Ian Watts. I actually just moved to Colerain about 2 years ago. My only question and reason for coming today was I live on Topeka Street, and our street doesn't have a street sign on it. And I was wondering if there's a way to get a street sign put there, because sometimes I'll invite people over and they'll drive right past because, they can't see
I
the
can
street sign.
certainly, while that's off topic, I can certainly get you in touch with our Public Works Director and see what
Yeah.
we can do.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
If I could,
Good to meet
before you
everybody.
leave, make sure I
You
get
can
your,
always call the township too and ask for our roads and
I
they'll,
called the township a few times, but no one answered, so I had to leave a voicemail. I'm still waiting on a call back.
oh, okay, I'm sorry about that.
if I,
Okay.
before you leave, please make
Okay.
sure I have your number.
Will do. Thank you.
Mr. Watts, is there a corner, is there an intersection there with Topeka?
There's a stop sign that
Okay.
usually I would think the sign would be above the stop sign. But
Yep.
Yeah, there's an
Yep.
intersection.
What's the cross street?
It is
Topeka
Topeka, and I'm not sure what the other cross street is actually. I think it might be Adams. It's over where the dollar store is, the old
Pippin.
Dollar General.
And that Pippin? Pippin and Topeka?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, Pippin. Yep,
It's
it is
more
Pippin.
Pip, yeah, it's Pippin, off Pip, yeah.
yep. Well, we will make sure that Public Services knows and see if we can get them out there ASAP. You're welcome.
All right,
Thank you
thank
for
you so
coming.
much. Thanks for coming out. Welcome to Colerain. Absolutely. Any other comment for the good of the cause, for any cause? Any motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Any seconds?
I second the motion to adjourn.
So we have a motion to adjourn in a second at
6:17.
6:17. I probably need to go to the eye doctor.
Roll call.
Roll call, yeah, thank you, sorry.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy,
Yes.
and I vote yes.